All right, joining me now to discuss, Democratic strategist and former Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Obama administration, Joel Rubin. Joel, good morning. Thanks
Manu,
for being here.
great to be with you.
So how real are these concerns of an all-out war?
They're very serious. This is not something to look away from at all, and I'm glad the Biden team is out there. That Amos Hawk's team was in Lebanon trying to calm the waters and get the Lebanese government to engage, but they don't have a lot of control over Hezbollah. Look, Hezbollah is being directed by Iran. Iran has an interest in keeping this as a hot border, and Israel has been striking into southern Lebanon because largely Hezbollah is displacing northern Israelis from their homes. Civilians in Israel, roughly 100,000, have been displaced. And so the heat is turning up. I think that Israel, they see this as part of a long continuum of struggles. There has not been a major war since 2006, and it looks like we might be heading there up on the Lebanese border.
Wow. And so like, one thing that Matt Miller, the State Department spokesman said yesterday, he said the best way to unlock the possibility of a resolution against the Israel-Lebanese border would be achieving a ceasefire in Gaza. But obviously that has been elusive. So
it's been highly elusive. And look, Hamas has not agreed to what President Biden proposed. That is what needs to calm the waters. The problem for the White House is that they're speaking rational, normal, legitimate policy that the broader region wants. But this is not what Iran is looking for. This is not what Hamas wants. And Hezbollah, as we saw in that clip, Hezbollah has been waging an ongoing war of attrition against Israel. And the dynamics are, however, that Israel can't fight this all alone. Mm-hmm. It needs broader regional allies. We saw in April that when Iran shot ballistic missiles into Israel, multiple countries, including Jordan and Saudi Arabia, came to Israel's defense alongside the United States. That's the kind of coalition they need, and they need to step back and not make this unilateral war against Hezbollah. That will be a very dangerous situation for the Israelis.
Meantime, the way that Israel has been prosecuting this war has been an increased source of tension between Biden and Netanyahu. And Netanyahu has been increasingly vocal about his criticism of President Biden and his administration and about Biden's threats himself to withhold weapons in the event of an all-out invasion into Rafah. Netanyahu said this earlier this week.
It's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel.
And then yesterday, the White House's national security spokesman responded saying this.
Those comments were deeply disappointing and certainly vexing to us, given the amount of support that we have and will continue to provide. But again, it was vexing and disappointing to us, as much as it was incorrect.
Vexing and disappointing seems to be the word of that in that moment. But
that's the understatement.
That is the understatement. So just before you weigh in, there's a new interview out this morning. My friend and colleague, former colleague Jake Sherman from Punchbowl News, interviewing Benjamin Netanyahu himself, and he asked him, "Do you think Biden is doing this for domestic political considerations?" And Netanyahu responds, he didn't know what was causing it, but he said, "But I'm aware that there's been a great slowdown in the provision of the important ammunition and weapons. I'm not talking about F-35s or F-16s that are years down the line. I'm talking about what is necessary now to both win the war in Gaza quickly and avoid a war in Lebanon that, in the absence of such a correction, risks of the risk of breaking out seems to be pretty high. At least he's concerned about that, are increasing." What's your reaction to that? He's basically saying that the U.S. is making it harder for Israel to win.
Yeah, Manu, I think that, first of all, Admiral Kirby was very diplomatic. I would have said thanks for nothing. Look, this White House has been leaning into military support for Israel since October 7th, since prior to October 7th, but in recent days even pushed through the Hill an F-15 transfer. Look, Israel, in terms of its military operations in Gaza, has more than enough ordnance. The problem in the slowdown from what the Prime Minister is talking about is that the Israelis themselves have decided to manage this in a manner where they are engaged aggressively, but they're also doing it in a manner that they are taking care now of civilian lives in Rafah. And I think that the Prime Minister, he needs to start looking internally in Israel right now. He lost his unity coalition. He lost Benny Gantz from the War Cabinet. He does not have a plan for the day after, which is what the President and the White House have been calling for. And so now he's putting up sort of false arguments about Israel's military operations. Israel needs the United States military backing. If this is the message that he has coming to Congress, Congress in a month, he's going to lose Democrats even further, and he needs to maintain this bipartisan support. That's not what that statement did.
Yeah, and we'll see what he does when he speaks to Congress like you were there the last time.
That's
this
right.
time we'll see if it's more tense or in the impacts of his comments when he talks to Congress in July. All right, Joe Rubin, thanks for joining me this morning. Really appreciate it.